Hi, welcome to my presentation on the impact of the wild horses on the broad-toothed rat in the Australian Alps. The Australian Alps are located across 3 states. It's a very large area of the high country of ACT, New South Wales, and Victoria. And the wild horses were first introduced to this area in the first fleet. Their numbers have basically been on the rise since then with no known predators. The broad-toothed rat also found in the same region as the brumbies or the wild horses. There is a negative connotation that sort of comes with the term rat, but as you can see here, this little animal looks more like a fluffy little toy, not your typical rat. They're now unfortunately listed as an endangered species. The issue with the wild horses is that they're causing major damage to the unique ecosystem of the Australian Alps. They're hard-hooved herbivores. They endanger threatened species. They alter vegetation cover by trampling the grasslands, and they also affect the waterways that other mammals, particularly the broad-toothed rat, require. The broad-toothed rat requires grass cover for their food. They also require the vegetation for above-ground funnel structures to travel forage. Without that grass cover, they are susceptible to predators and bushfires. The benefits of having the broad-toothed rat in the Australian Alps are huge as they positively impact the ecosystem by dispersing seeds throughout their funnel structures. They provide burrows and runways for other mammals, and they're also an imperative part of the food chain up there in the Australian Alps. There's no real negatives for the presence of the rat in the ecosystem of the Australian Alps, as opposed to the wild horses who are causing a lot of widespread damage. This table here shows the decline of the broad-toothed rat over a 10-year period. This is from 2012 to 2022, and that number is 74%, which is huge. The major issue at the moment is controlling the feral horse numbers. Currently, aerial culling is the most effective and economical method. Whether it is the most humane is a big question, but giving consideration to farm management practices here in Australia, industry standards, and also the fact that approximately 9,000 horses each year are killed in abattoirs using questionable methods that may not be quite as humane as aerial shooting. So, in light of that, maybe aerial culling is the most effective and most humane method of controlling the numbers. The numbers on the aerial culling are 63% of horses were killed instantly. The remaining 37 odd were not killed instantly, which is a big concern, but the time of death averaged 19 seconds. So maybe with some further training, they could improve those numbers and be more effective. Fertility control is always been on the cards, but unfortunately in Australia, the brumbies are just not accessible. So they can't do those treatments which are required to be repeated every 2 to 4 years, which makes that difficult. The broad-toothed rat, there's obviously a clear need for protection of this species. They could be translocated to where they have found previous fossils and live outside of the Australian Alps to see if they can thrive in other areas of the country. Aussie Ark are also doing great things. They've successfully started a breeding program. They secured 6 rats from 3,000 traps laid, further demonstrating that there are such low numbers of this animal left. Thank you for listening. This is certainly something we should be thinking about, and we should all care about the unique ecosystem up in the Australian Alps.